Hello, hi, my name is Angelica and this is the Angelica Unfiltered channel where I talk about health, wellness, weight loss, but mostly fat acceptance. So a while ago, a few people let me know that some of my old cringy fat acceptance content was in a couple compilation videos. So I thought it'd be fun to react to those compilations. Of course, I've reacted to most of my own fat acceptance content, but I thought I'd switch it up and react to other embarrassing shit that people have put on the internet, because why not? Y'all love to see me react to all of this horseshit for some reason. But before we get into it, this video is sponsored by me. I run a small business called 𝓌𝒽𝒶𝓉𝓃𝑔 where I sell crystal jewelry. I'm wearing a toggle necklace in almost all of my videos. Right now I'm wearing some 𝓌𝒽𝒶𝓁𝓗, and I actually just created some matching earrings. You probably can't see them because I have these goddamn headphones on. So if you happen to be a crystal girly and also an anti-fat acceptance girly, please check out my business. You can use code YouTube10 to save 10% off. That's enough of that. Let's just get into the reaction. All right, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still trying to figure out this software, so let me know if I'm too small or you want to see more of me or more of the video. You know, this reacting crap is a little bit more harder than I thought it would be to figure out. So I think my video is halfway through. Disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Do not send hate to anyone in this video. And this video is made by someone named Dissociated, and the title of the video is Fat Acceptance is Getting Out of Control. Cringe Fat Acceptance TikTok Compilation. So let's see what we got going on here.
These are the exact steps that hotels can take to be more silent.
Here we have 𝓻𝒽. She is one of the most infamous creators in the fat acceptance community. She hasn't posted in a while because she got arrested in early March, late February. A few people have made videos about that. I'll leave them down in the description if you want to know the tea. Or I guess it shouldn't be tea. It's kind of like a serious situation.
Size inclusive and accessible for travelers of all sizes. Make elevators and hallways spacious to allow for easy movement of larger individuals and those utilizing mobility devices.
If you are so fat that you can't fit down a hallway or in an elevator, that is you problem. I was just on vacation, and when we were in Vegas, I think we easily squeezed in 10 people in an elevator. And I think elevators and hallways are already big enough for people that use mobility devices. I've never heard anyone that is disabled complain about the restricted area or the size of an elevator or an hallway. It just seems more of a 𝓻𝒽 issue. I think 𝐿Beast2Beast said this in one of his videos, but he was hotels and elevators aren't like The Sims. You can't just grab the walls and pull them and make them wider. To expand elevators and hallways, that would cost millions and millions of dollars. And quite frankly, I don't think any major corporation is going to comply to these demands. And up until this point, I don't think anyone has complained about the size of an elevator or hallway besides 𝓻𝒽. I agree this is ideal, but some of these are out of the hotel's control. Lift size, for example. World is not going to change for you. Yes, but in 𝓻𝒽's eyes, it's her world and we're all living in it. You are delusional, but it's fun to watch the ridiculous entitlement. Yeah, a lot of 𝓻𝒽's demands or complaints are coming from a place of entitlement and not from an activism standpoint. To be honest, she sounds bratty most of the time and isn't really doing any true advocacy. All right, so now we have a picture of 𝓻𝒽. 𝓻𝒽 previously got flack for advocating airlines to reimburse passengers who take up extra seat. I think Southwest is actually getting rid of their customer of size policy, but initially, if a flight was not booked, another person was able to book another seat for free or be given another seat for free. Or if they did pay for an extra seat and the plane wasn't completely filled, that passenger would be able to apply for a refund to get money back for that extra seat. But I think they may be taking away those policies because, again, major corporations don't care about their customers. They care about the bottom line and that moolah. Someone brought this up in one of my other videos. They were saying that like 𝒌𝒡 always complains about the plane seats being too small, and plane seats have gotten a little bit smaller within the last couple of years, cut costs and be able to squeeze in more seats in an airplane. Even before, you know, those couple inches were taken away, 𝒌𝒡 probably still wouldn't be able to sit in the plane seats anyway because she is so large. So it's like she almost needs a private jet and like customized seats. The before seats wouldn't even be comfortable for her. It's her size that's the issue. It's not the plane seats. Okay, New York Post.
The answer is really simple. You're making up a...
Okay, so tell me, darling, why do you care about my opinion as much? Nothing wrong with loving weight for any reason at all. It reminds someone, feels... I can't see, that is so motherfucking blurry. And the text is so small. But let's see what this purple-haired lady has to say. Not shaming on the purple hair, because I've had purple hair before. I love purple.
The answer is really simple. You're making up a fake group of people. Because you've taken a very clear argument, which is that weight loss is not the determinant for health.
Being at a smaller size and not being obese is better for your health. Of course, your weight shouldn't be the only factor in your health, but I feel like it plays a huge part. I think I just heard someone say this in another anti-fat acceptance video, or maybe I read it in the comment section, but they're saying like, if me and my friend both had the same blood pressure, but my friend had lupus, does that mean we're both healthy because we both have the same blood pressure and that blood pressure is normal? It's like there are other factors that go into someone's health just besides like literally one health biometric or, you know, like vital sign. There are multiple things that cause someone to be healthy or unhealthy, but being severely obese is kind of a big factor into someone being healthy or not, because having so much excess body fat is likely to cause other health problems.
And construed it into an argument that is losing weight for your health is fatphobic.
Making an argument that losing weight for your health is fatphobic. I think some people think that. Some people think that any sort of weight loss is fatphobic, whether that be for health, vanity reasons. I could tell you the sky's blue and someone would say that's fatphobic. It just depends on who you're talking to.
But it's the same question I ask people all the time when they make this argument that you have made, which is, if you stayed the exact same weight that you were when you started, but all of your comorbidities changed, right? All of them disappeared, and your blood work was better, and your cholesterol was better, and your blood pressure was better, and you felt like you could do more, this, that, you were more mobile, if mobility is important to you, but you were the exact same weight that you were when you started, or the exact same pant size that you were when you started, would you feel like you were a failure?
I guess it depends on the situation, because like obviously every single body is different, but majority of the time, like if you are overweight, you are more prone to certain disorders and diseases. And if you're overweight, even like 20 or 30 pounds, depending on like your bone structure and if you work out and your muscles and your genetics and stuff, like just an extra like 10 or 20 pounds can really like fuck up your joints. But the hypothetical of like, well, if you were the same size and everything got better, would you still see yourself as a failure? And it's like, well, I feel like it depends on what your weight was. But it's also just like a fake hypothetical, and I think it's kind of just stupid to ponder on.
That is and always has been the point. That is and always has been the thing that is described as fatphobic. So how about you go live your best life and stop demonizing fat activists?
People demonize fat activists because they're doing more harm than good. They say shit like that, and then people are scared to lose weight because they don't want to be seen as fatphobic, even though if they are doing it for their health, people still don't care, and they create their own little narrative in their head and still shame them. How would I know? Because that happened to me. And every like fat activist is different, so you know, one person could say that losing weight for their health isn't fatphobic, but another person would say any sort of weight loss is fatphobic. And then people will say, oh, I don't care if you lose weight for your health as long as you're not fatphobic after you lose the weight. Like every fat activist is different, even though there is a lot of like common thread between what people say and like what the go-to rhetoric is. But at the end of the day, most of them are always like, I don't care if you lose weight. I don't care what you do with your body, but they always have something to say. They always have an opinion to share in a video to make.
I would like to talk very quick about something that annoys me, and I'm going to call it thin-splaining.
Thin-splaining. Fat people hate being othered by thin people or people in smaller bodies. but then they always other themselves and thin people. They're basically doing mansplaining, but thinsplaining.
I just kind of, it's the idea that fat people, like, have no idea how to be thin, and that's why we're fat?
Because some people just think that they're magically fat for no reason. I think a lot of people don't take accountability for their consumption and their lack of exercise and maybe the disorders that they have. They'll play ignorant, but then some people will be like, yeah, I'm fat and happy. I love to eat. So I guess it's a case-by-case scenario.
So people, or like, that we just don't understand health, and that's why we are the way that we are, so they want to add their tips.
I think a lot of it does come down to ignorance because, you know, I'll speak for myself as an American. I wasn't really taught nutrition. Of course, we had like the food pyramid and stuff like that in school, and we were pushed to drink milk for some reason, and obviously we were encouraged to exercise in school because we had PE and stuff, and we were discouraged to be overweight or fat, but no one ever talked about like why people get fat, or like what the right amount of calories is to have, how many carbs and sugars and fats you should have. So, you know, when you see a fat person, sometimes people do think like, hey, this person like doesn't understand nutrition. But then you know, you have people like 𝒹𝒾𝓈𝓃𝓃𝑔 who understands nutrition, but just doesn't apply it.
When I see her eat something that's bad for her, it breaks my heart because she doesn't understand nutrition like I do, and I don't, like, who's gonna listen to me? Look at me, you know, that's just how it goes.
So it's either an ignorance issue, or they just enjoy overeating, or they can't stop overeating and don't choose to lose weight.
Not appropriate to talk to your loved ones about their body or their weight gain or loss. And some people are like, what if I want to talk to my partner about it because health risks run in their family?
I know a lot of people say that it's almost like mean to not discuss their weight too. Like they're super morbidly obese family members, you know, especially if their health is deteriorating. And even if it does come out of genuine concern, I don't know if like that would actually help, to be honest, because I feel like so many times in my life people or like doctors have had concerns about my weight, but nothing really happened, or I didn't change my behaviors until like something like sparked internally that was like, holy shit, like I can control my weight and I need to stop eating. I don't know, maybe things would be different now that I'm married. And if my husband was like, you know, girl, I would like to grow old with you, but now you're getting all these health problems and, you know, you're super fat and you can't do anything. I was also with my now husband at the time when I was at my heaviest, and he never said anything. So I don't know, I think it's a really like hard subject to tackle, but I guess I do respect the people that can have the hard conversations with their loved ones, although I feel like a lot of people are probably annoyed when others bring it up, even if people are doing it out of love.
It's their family. Who told you about the health risks? Do you think they don't know? Why do you need to talk to them about it?
Most people are either ignorant to how being obese or having like a mass amount of adipose tissue can affect you. I think a lot of people know that it's bad to be fat, but also there's like this normalization of obesity right now. So it kind of like still feels okay to be fat, even though like, you know, it's not good, but everyone else is still fat, so it's okay. But you're also maybe not experiencing any complications of being fat, so you feel like whatever you're doing is fine at the moment. It's usually not until people have a life-altering experience or event that they take their weight loss seriously.
I made a video where I said you can decline getting your weight taken at the doctor's office, and so many people jumped in to say, unless you have anesthesia, unless you're getting a prescription for a medication, unless it's this, unless it's that. And I'm like, fat people know when it's medically necessary. Stop. I made a video saying that there are no diseases exclusive to fat people, which there are absolutely not.
But if you are fat, then you're more likely to have those disorders and diseases, and a lot of disorders and diseases could be prevented if one is a healthy weight. But all fat people have obesity, so technically that is a disorder or disease exclusively for fat people. Obesity is a disease, whether people like to believe it or not.
And people want to say, it can actually be a risk factor for other diseases, like we don't already know.
Okay, but at the same time, people will say that it's not. I feel like that's just contradicting to like what you literally just said. That there's no exclusive disorder or disease that fat people can't have, but they also don't acknowledge that it's a huge risk factor. It's like lung cancer and smoking. People know it's bad to smoke and it'll probably give you cancer, but they still do it anyway. Like a cognitive dissonance Or people just like believe, oh, that won't happen to me. It only happens to other people. Until one day you're coughing up blood from smoking a pack a day, or your heart gives out because you're 400 pounds overweight.
People have literally been saying this shit to me since I was 7 years old.
She must be just numb to obesity, so she doesn't care. Or this person hasn't experienced any life-altering events that has made her question why she is fat. And I feel like if you are fat, like, I mean, I've been fat my entire life too. I've never experienced what it's like to be thin. I've already experienced a lot of benefits of losing weight. You know, I'm down almost 70 pounds, and the amount of energy that I have just by losing 70 pounds, like, I'm almost scared that once I reach a healthy weight that I probably won't sleep. Like, I am still technically obese, but just from the amount of weight that I've already lost, my life has greatly improved in so many different aspects. And I think that when you are so morbidly obese, you don't understand how much it does affect your life. Like, you get so used to the pain, or you get used to the immobility, or, you know, just like all the other struggles that comes with being overweight. So they don't know the actual benefits, or like what it actually feels like to be at a healthy weight and not have to experience all of those things. So when people talk about the risk factors and the diseases and the disorders, there's like some sort of like cognitive dissonance, or they just don't understand what it's like to be a healthy weight and live a fulfilling life.
I know. I don't need your helpful input.
So the screen reads, heads up if you don't include fat people in your disability advocacy.
Advocacy, allyship, or
Girl, if you want to use the motorized scooters at Walmart, just go ahead. You don't have to stretch this hard.
If you are disabled because of your fatness, that is your problem. I feel like that's kind of like harsh, but you know, being disabled because you were born with some sort of like disorder or disease, like you have absolutely no control over those things, but you have control over your weight. You have control over the fucking food that you shove down your throat. You know, people can't change their genes and their MS or the fact that they're paralyzed, but you can put the fork down. If you are disabled because of your weight, if you are immobile because of your weight, that is your wrongdoing.
I'm shaped like Winnie the Pooh, but just because I like a breakfast donut doesn't mean you have to fight for me, as well as that guy that lost both of his legs from a horrible disease.
Yeah, at least this person is like acknowledging that there are better ways to do your advocacy. You know, there's people out there that actually need help, that actually are helpless in their situation.
Get the fuck out of here. Go, get out, go.
This is me shortly before my first diet, 7 years old. A perfect little human in a perfect body. But that's not what she was told. This is her before she started shrinking. Her body never got smaller. Her spirit did. Her self-worth did. She just wanted to make everyone proud. But love felt conditional.
No, I don't blame children for being overweight. Children can't control much of their life. You know, I was put on diets when I was a kid. My sisters and I were put on diets when we were kids. We dieted every single summer together when we were children. I saw a statistic that said that if a child has one obese parent, there is a 50% chance that they will become obese. If a child has two obese parents, then there is an 80% chance that they will be obese. I feel like a lot of people in the fat acceptance community like to say that being fat is genetic, but they don't ever talk about their parents passing down unhealthy lifestyle habits onto them. They need to explore the nature versus nurture of obesity. They can't blame everything on nature. There's a quote that's like, genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger. Of course, there's things that you can't control, but there are a lot of things that you can control. We aren't completely helpless.
To earn her love with pounds lost. And she never lost enough. She never was enough. She didn't owe it to her family to get an eating disorder. She didn't owe it to them to be a good fatty.
And you know what, like, I'll place the blame on their parents. Children are obese for a reason. It's not a medical mystery 99% of the time. And if they are developing an eating problem or like an ED, then there's something going on in the house that people are not acknowledging.
She spent 26 years running from her body, from herself.
You know, I'm someone that has endured a lot of trauma. If you couldn't tell by the way I look and the way I talk. But, you know, like, at a certain point, you just have to fucking, like, take accountability and be in control of your own life. You know, I can't help that I have PTSD from my dad's alcoholism, but it is my responsibility to take care of it and manage it so it doesn't ruin my life. And, you know, the same thing I think goes for eating. You know, you can learn how to build healthier eating patterns. Like, everything is basically for free on the internet. You can go on YouTube and figure out how many calories you're supposed to have, watch recipe videos, follow influencers or content creators, and meal prep. But it just feels like a cop-out to be like, well, I was raised fat and I was never able to lose weight and now I have an ED. It's like, okay, like, what are you going to do about it? It's not your fault that you have it, but are you going to let it control your life? No. Do something about it. Like, don't you want to have a good life? Why do people want to struggle so much? I'd rather be happy and work my ass off to be in a good state than just sit there and struggle and mope. This video is going to be so goddamn long, not even 5 minutes through this.
Done running. She's traded it in for healing.
So many fat people think like healing is just eating whatever you want and allowing yourself to indulge all the time. And that's self-harm. Healing and loving yourself is doing the shit that is hard and uncomfortable. But in the end, it is all worth it.
She sees that she's always been enough.
She has always been enough. That is why you should take care of yourself and care about what you are doing with your body. We only have one body. We only have one life. Do something good for it.
She sees her fat body and she celebrates.
How do I want to say this? She celebrates her fat body. You know, I don't want her to hate her fat body. I don't want her to glamorize her fat body. I wish she would, you know, accept her body and then do something about it. You know, take care of yourself. Eat a little less. You deserve to live a healthy, happy life. So this says, me hyping up myself to go exist in a world where people make hating their body their entire personality, so they expect me to do it too, LMAO. Okay, so I don't know if this music will be copyrighted, but this person's also in a bikini, so I don't know if I'll have to censor that. Or, what's crocheted? Is that still a bikini if it's crocheted? I think that people that make a personality out of hating their body probably are struggling with something up here. When people make posts like this, I assume that they're talking about thin people. I guess maybe fat people that are trying to lose weight, but those people are struggling. There's something wrong going on with them. Healthy people, thin or overweight, like they are just content in themselves, or they like actually don't even think about their body. So if someone is talking about how they hate their body every single day, all waking hours, then there's something wrong. And I don't think that is accepted widely in society, you know? We got some other pressing issues to talk about. And I don't think someone should hate themselves because they are fat. I think if they love themselves, then they should maybe think about what it actually means to be healthy and develop some better behaviors.
Hi, this is my flying fat review of Delta Airlines.
I think this may be the same person from like all the childhood photos.
I flew from Seattle to San Jose. This is my...
So she's traveling fat, but to be honest, like she doesn't look that fat. Like she's not J-Bay fat. I mean, she's definitely like chubby and overweight.
my first time in a while flying Delta. It was a
Not that it wouldn't be uncomfortable for her.
2-hour flight. I got to the airport very early, and they changed my gate a few times, so I was walking all over. And this chair was super uncomfortable. On the actual flight,
These seats in the airport are uncomfortable to everyone.
I paid for an upgraded Delta Comfort in hopes that there wouldn't be someone next to me. It was a full flight, so I did have someone next to me. It wasn't comfortable, but I could do it for 2 hours. I noticed all of the other fat people were in first class, so maybe I'll try to do that next time.
Okay, so it wasn't first class. Was it just a regular flight then? I don't know much about flying. You guys will have to let me know. I've never flown Delta either, I don't think. I don't travel much. Like I say in most of my videos, I'm home 24/7.
Hi.
I used to follow them. I think we actually used to be mutuals. This is the fat femme next door. They have amazing girls. I would die for those girls.
It's been a little while since I've pissed off anyone on TikTok, so I'm back.
Is that admitting that fat activists are antagonizing people for no reason?
As my For You page is filled with all of these medium, mid-sized, small fat people using a trending audio to record themselves from the front and then turn to the side and talk about how they hate the way their stomach sticks out at that angle.
feel like a lot of these trends are just a way of body checking, and if people are doing them, they probably have some sort of like disordered thinking or eating behaviors. Like healthy people aren't partaking in things like this. Like in my head, I'm always like, would my best friend do this? I've been best friends with my best friend since 5th grade, and she is like 5'9", always been super athletic, very fit and in shape, and has never struggled with eating and exercise and dieting and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, then it's probably not normal. Would Jordan do that? No. So then this is probably fucked up. When I do this like 3 years ago when I was in fat activism, yeah, okay, then that's fucked up.
Please stop. I don't think anyone posting these videos has bad intentions, but I will say that this video is perpetuating fat phobia and has no place in the body liberation movement.
I think discussing your insecurities doesn't make you anti-body positive or anti-body liberation. I think two things can be right at once, but I also don't think it's like entirely a healthy behavior.
Stop using body positive hashtags with this type of video. Stop centering yourself in ways that are harmful to people with bigger bodies. If
someone talking about things that they struggle with is not harming people in bigger bodies, it's someone like literally talking about themselves and their struggles. I cannot like something about myself, but see the beauty with other people that have it. Like for me, I've mentioned this on my channel, like I don't like my teeth. People always call my teeth quirky. Obviously they're not veneers, but I mean, I also probably have like average looking teeth, but like when I see people with like regular looking teeth like me, I'm like, I don't think anything of it, but to me in my head, like I hyper focus on what my teeth look like, even though no one else cares. And I'm not projecting those feelings about my teeth onto other people. People in the fat acceptance community internalize literally everything. So if they see someone being like, I'm just really uncomfortable with my belly right now, I've gained a lot of weight because of winter, then they think, oh my God, you hate fat people, you fat bum. It's like, they're talking about themselves. They're not talking about you. Shut up.
If you're going to continue to perpetuate the idea that you should be thin and look a certain way, you're only further alienating more marginalized bodies from the community.
They're talking about themselves. They're not marginalizing people. God forbid a girl talks about her insecurities. This just reminds me of the video of 𝓁𝒃𝓃𝓃𝑔 Torres I did. It's like, if you're skinny, then you're an oppressor. It's like, one does not equal the other. You are not marginalizing someone just because you are uncomfortable with your fupa. Like, you're thinking about your fupa, not everyone in the world's fupa.
Why do you not like fat people? Well, here's the thing.
So this is, Sneeko was the first guy, and this next one is Fresh and Fit, or he's one half of Fresh and Fit. I don't know which one. Is his name Marvin? I don't know. Sometimes I see people react to him. I don't watch these men.
Obesity is probably one of the most honest indications that you're a lazy piece of shit.
If I remember correctly, I think he did a challenge where he made himself gain a bunch of weight and lose it to prove that people that are fat or obese have control of their weight. I could be wrong. I could be mistaking him for someone else.
Out of anything else. Why is that? Well, the reason why is because if you're fat, what that basically tells me is you lack self-control, you lack discipline, you lack consistency, you lack an ability to say no to things, you don't give a fuck about your personal health, your appearance, etc. It says a lot about you as an individual. And the reason why I don't respect fat people is because they 1000% put themselves in that predicament to be fat in the first place.
I kind of agree what he has to say. I just don't like the way that he's saying it. And I think that we should all respect fat people still. Like, I don't think we should like degrade them and shun them and, you know, like push them in the corner and call them like a fat, lazy piece of shit. But I definitely think that fat people lack self-control and determination and things like that. But there's usually a reason why people are fat or overweight or obese. Usually it's they are struggling with some sort of mental health disorder or emotionally eat or I don't binge. Like there's something else going on. And not saying that as an excuse, but it's not always so cut and dry. Not me bringing the whataboutisms that I hate. I do agree with the point that like if you are fat, it is your problem and it is something in your control. And I think that you should do something about it because you deserve to be happy and healthy.
So when I see a fat person, I see laziness being manifested in front of my own eyes. That's why I don't respect fat people. Okay? And the other thing too is a lot of them are gluttonous and We got people starving all over the world that can't even get fucking clean water. And your dumbass is over here being a fat piece of shit eating Twinkies.
I mean, I know that there are places in the world that people are starving, but it's like, what is a fat person in America going to do about that? It's kind of more of like a structural problem. Like, is an obese person supposed to send their Twinkies over to the starving children in Africa? I guess they could like donate to a cause, but it's not like the people are starving because of obese people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the two things correlate. The text says, fat people are always ugly though. Emoji that's green and about to throw up.
Get the fuck away from me. Get the fuck away from me.
I don't think that all fat people are ugly, but I understand like if people aren't attracted to fat people or don't want to date fat people. Like I've said this a million times, I think fucking Tess Holliday is gorgina, and I think she'd be prettier if she lost weight. Like she still has that face card, even though she is probably 300 pounds overweight. It's not an all or nothing statement. People in the fat acceptance community always speak in hyperbole.
Imagine the day that...
This text is so small. Friendly reminder, you don't need to lose weight to be better.
I see you again. And you are just, well, better.
Oh, okay. So she gained a substantial amount of weight. Define better. If you are gaining a substantial amount of weight in such a small amount of time, there's probably something going on. I don't think anyone is better, morally speaking, because they are thin or fat. Losing weight doesn't necessarily make someone better. Of course, they can make their life better, but I don't think someone that is thin is better than someone being fat. You're not bad or evil because you're fat. You're bad or evil because of how you treat people and what you do.
Okay, hear me out.
Oh my god, here I am. I'm famous, guys. I think this was like 2022.
My pants don't fit, and that does not make me a bad person. That makes
morality and weight have nothing to do with each other. You're not a evil person because you're thin. You're not an evil person because you're bad. You're not an evil person because you're fat. You're evil because of what you do.
The pants not fit. It has nothing to do with my moral character. I'm going to take off the pants, return the pants, and get my money back. The end.
So I've already reacted to my own video, but I don't know. I feel there's a difference between sizing being different from like one piece to another or one brand to another. But in a circumstance like this, the pants were not fitting no matter what, because I gained a substantial amount of weight. But was it conscious that I got so much bigger? There was some sort of cognitive dissonance going on.
I hate skinny people, especially this
So this says, chats for the fats, skinny friends edition.
bitch. I'm with my best friend 𝒹𝒻. Hi guys. And today we're going to be talking about fat people being friends with skinny people. To preface, we've been best friends for 10 years.
And throughout those 10 years, I've been skinny.
And I've been fat, so we know what we're talking about. So 𝒹𝒻, what is one thing you should never say in general, but especially in front of your fat friend?
I think the first one that comes to mind is when people say, I look so fat and ugly in this photo.
Because friendship between people of different sizes is all about what?
Self-awareness.
Or friendship between people of different sizes is the same, is just friendship. A majority of my friends are thin and they never talk negative about their body. I think most people that are constantly commenting on their body usually struggle with some sort of disordered thinking patterns. But like if you look fat or like a roll is sticking out, I think it's fine to be like, I look fat here. And if it's not bad to be fat, like all these fat activists say, it's like, why can't someone say that they look fat because they're looking a little pudgy right in that photo? When are you allowed to use the word fat? Like, what is like the weight threshold to be allowed to say that I look fat?
Friendship is about understanding that you two are different sizes and have very different experiences in the world.
I feel like that's just so like toxic and almost feeding into the bigger person's delusion or just like hyperfixation on weight or like enabling them. Like I don't want my friends to have to tiptoe around me because I will be offended about something. I want my friends to be able to tell me the hard, honest truth. I don't want someone to be walking on eggshells around me because they don't want me to get triggered and flipped out, which it sounds like she is doing.
Exactly. Here's another thing to be self-aware about.
When you go shopping with your plus size friends at the mall and they're not trying anything on, don't say this.
Why aren't you trying anything on?
Do you not like anything at the store?
That's not very flattering on you.
If you're...
Why does her friend act like she's being held at gunpoint? Probably because she is. Or she's like, why you make me film this dumbass video?
That friend isn't trying anything on, chances are the store probably doesn't carry their size. And fuck the word flattering.
The text on the screen says, I'm still trying to get the term flattering out of my vocabulary. Unlearning is so hard but important. Of course, like, flattering is a subjective term, but I feel like, you know, there are clothes that are flattering and not like, this is not flattering on me. I look like a fucking skater boy right now. This makes me look like a sack of potatoes. I know it doesn't make me like look good and sexy, and it's not hugging on the right parts of my body. Someone actually commented that on one of my YouTube videos on my like personal fashion account. They're like, not to be mean, but it seems like you wear a lot of baggy clothes and you should accentuate your waist more because you have a really good waist. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how to do that. I could be dressing more flattering for my body type, but I choose to wear shit like this on casual days. You know, I still get dressed up and look cute some days, but I'm filming today for you guys. If you like this shirt, I'll have a link down below.
And now, Gom, I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
If we went to the club and I wasn't let in because of my size, how are you responding?
In that situation, there'd be no other option than we'd all be leaving. But
okay, that's the bare minimum, and which is like a basic normal thing that a friend would do. But I also don't enjoy these annoying hypothetical situations. Who goes clubbing anyway? Isn't everyone a recluse like me? And this is 2025. I think most people are probably let into clubs, so they spend money on alcohol. The most important thing in business is money.
before, I'd probably kiss out the bouncer. And we'd probably get Taco Bell on the way home and watch movies in bed.
Of course, you gotta eat with the fatty, because that's all they're thinking about.
Facts. If your skinny friends choose to stay at the club without you, you're better off without them.
Regardless of size, if your friends go to a club without you because you can't get in, they're bad friends. It doesn't matter if you're skinny or you're fat. Weight has nothing to do with that.
And one thing you should never do
is judge or comment on what someone else eats. Some
people talk about like how it's important to talk about eating behaviors around fat people, or like, you know, and not enable their bad behaviors, but I don't think it's like necessarily wrong. I don't know. It's an annoying and nuanced conversation. But like, if my friends were like, bitch, you're eating so much, I'd be like, yeah, and I saved all my calories for this meal.
Just to avoid are
you sure you want to eat that?
I could never eat that. I'm on a diet.
You're really gonna finish that entire thing?
Majority of people's friends don't say things like this to them. I feel like, at least in my experience, I'm doing anecdotal evidence here, but most of the time I've had people say shit like that to me. It's like always family members. My friends are more unconditionally like loving and caring and like don't say anything. But like my family are the ones to like be nitpicky.
Regardless of the person, you should never comment on what they're consuming. At the end of the day, your friends will come in all shapes and sizes.
I don't know. I mean, my friends and I comment on what each other eat. Like when we were in Las Vegas, we went to a lot of buffets, and my friend Chandler was just throwing it down. He literally watched videos on how to get the most money out of a buffet. And this man's like, he's like 6'3", very athletic. He was having like 8, 9, 10 plates. And of course, we were astonished. We're like, where is this food going? Like, how are you consuming all this? It was almost amazing. He was very talented.
So being self-aware of that is key.
The most important thing is loving your friends no matter what size they are.
Exactly.
What do we do when our fat faves lose weight? Let's talk.
You don't give a fuck. That's what you do. And if you do, and if it's hurting your feelings so bad, unfollow them. But it's none of your business. But you also, I thought you weren't supposed to care. All right, let's see what you got to say.
Talk about it. I don't have all the answers, but what I can tell you is I hate watching the same toxic patterns happening over and over online.
Why is losing weight toxic, but continuing to gain weight not toxic? What is toxic if someone is losing weight in a healthy way? It's only toxic because you don't like it. That's not the definition of toxic.
And I will start with this so thin people don't get mad.
Oh my god, thin people don't get mad. Even though thin people are never triggered, it's the fat people that are always triggered on the internet. I never see thin people screaming about fat people and their fat behaviors and how fat people are ruining society. It's always fat people yelling about something on the internet.
And this can be a really tough pill to swallow, but no one owes you their body. And
that goes for thin people too, or people trying to lose weight, or ex-fatties. No one owes you anything when it comes to your body. And that's why so many people in the fat acceptance sphere are afraid to lose weight, because they're afraid to get hate or get canceled. That's literally what happened to me. I did not want to lose weight or try to implement healthier habits into my life because I knew what was going to happen to me would happen. Of course, I didn't think it would happen on that giant of a scale, but I knew I would get backlash because I wanted to lose some goddamn weight. People should not have to be worried about losing weight. Like, that just sounds so ass backwards.
It's never appropriate under any circumstance to share with someone negative thoughts or feelings about how their body looks or has changed. But here's the toxic pattern. Fat persona loses weight. fat fan expresses some hurt or disappointment.
If you are so emotionally attached to someone else's body fat, you are mentally ill. I feel like fat people just are friends or like mutuals with people on the internet because they're fat. Like they actually just don't enjoy them as a human being or a content creator. So when they lose weight, they're like, okay, well, that was like the one thing we had in common, and now I'm pissed off because you did the thing that I will never be able to do. Like if you genuinely loved someone and like enjoyed seeing all the content creation that they posted, you know, they were your outfit inspirations, they were all up in your Pinterest board and on your saved tabs on Instagram, and they lost weight and you unfollowed them, it's like, I feel like you only followed them because they're fat. You don't enjoy them as a holistic, genuine human being. You only liked them because they were fat.
Thin fans take that as their opportunity to go in and be like, you know, fuck you, body positive police, mind your business.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you, mind your business. If a fat person wants to lose weight, that is none of your goddamn business. You know, I'm gonna do a citizen's arrest on these body positive police. I'm gonna order me some handcuffs on Amazon and a cap and a badge. You know, I already got my PhD in anti-fat acceptance, cultural studies, and communications. It's about time that I get a badge. I'm gonna start a department, so let me know if you want to be hired. Send in your resumes.
They look amazing. They're just doing this for their health, and just throw in a bunch of other like anti-fat, fat-phobic sentiments just for good measure.
See, this is just an example of like how everything is fat-phobic. You know, someone losing weight for their health. Fat-phobic. That's anti-fat, fat-phobic rhetoric. Just because you don't believe something is true doesn't mean that it's fat-phobic. Everyone just has like their own definitions for everything.
And then the persona will often encourage this type of discourse. If you are not fat and have never been fat, here's the context that you're missing. Imagine every piece of media that you engage with, every movie, TV show, song, all of it tells you you're bad and wrong.
Every piece of content. If I went on Spotify right now and I started playing music, not everything is about being fat.
I hate fat people. Fat people deserve to burn in hell.
No, it's fucking Charlie XCX talking about Little White Powder. Or it's Kurt Cobain making up lyrics that don't make any goddamn sense. Or it's Post Malone talking about being an alcoholic. Or it's Britney Spears telling me, oops, I did it again. I played another man. I broke his heart. Like every piece of media, you're telling me every piece of media in the whole entire world is anti-fat? Newsflash, a majority of people don't hyperfixate on fat people and their weight, and they're making great pieces of art, masterpieces that have nothing to do with fatness. Like not everyone makes their weight and their fat their personality. I've never heard a song about being skinny and how great it is to be skinny. Can't name one. And I have like 4 million songs saved on my Spotify. And every piece of media, I don't think so. Every YouTube video is fat-phobic. Every movie ever is fat-phobic. What is fat-phobic about Guardians of the Galaxy? What is fat-phobic about the Titanic? Every piece of media has anti-fat rhetoric in it? No. You live in Delulu land. If you see fat phobia in literally everything, you need to check yourself into the psychiatric hospital because I fear you're having some sort of delusions and hallucinations.
And then you find one little corner of the world that says, you know what? No, you can be loved and successful and funny and talented and adored.
So someone can't lose weight because you are so psychotic. You have some sort of fat psychosis that makes you think that everything is fat phobic. Why is that one person's responsibility? It sounds like some personal issues you need to work through.
Just as you are.
I'm getting so fucking
And then that window slams shut.
What if someone's body and what they do with that body has absolutely fucking nothing to do with you? Groundbreaking thought here.
And tells you the same things that the rest of the world has told you. It's not about that person.
You just made it about that person. You just said that person destroyed body positivity because they decided to lose weight.
About fat people, when the world has ostracized them.
I think fat people just start to ostracize themselves because they make, like Jessica Torres, the thinness club. The thinness club doesn't exist. You fucking made it up. Why is it okay for fat people to have their exclusive fat acceptance community? They are ostracizing themselves. They are making themselves the victim and a loser and starting these clubs and talking about how they are the victims, but they are the hermits that are doing this to themselves. There is no sort of segregation for fat people. They never take any sort of accountability for their doing.
Making an individual their safe space.
If you make one person your safe space, you have issues. You need to find something within yourself, find some sort of comfort within your personality, within your inner thoughts in your brain, in your spirit, because you cannot rely on other people for happiness. Of course, you can have role models or inspirations and pin people on your Pinterest boards and follow your favorite influencers, but you should not be devastated if someone loses weight. The same way you should not be devastated if they dye their hair, if they cut their hair, if they do their makeup different, if they start eating a different diet, or like if someone was vegan and starts eating meat again. Like, why are you so emotionally involved? Do some thinking, do some like interpersonal work on that, because it should not matter.
And maybe diet talk is really neutral in your circle and the people you hang out with, but other people have had to do a lot of work to eliminate diet talk and diet culture.
If diet talk triggers you so bad, then you have an issue with diet talk, not the person talking about it. If you can't hear someone say, yeah, so I'm eating in a calorie deficit so I can lose 20 pounds and no longer feel like my knees are giving out when I stand up. That has nothing to do with you. Why are you triggered?
From their community. Diet and weight loss talk is sensitive for good reason.
It's sensitive because people get their feelings wrapped up in everything. It's a taboo subject because people can't stand to be in any sort of discomfort. Same thing goes for money and sex. Like, people just can't be honest and open. I mean, I could talk about all this shit. I could talk about diet, sex, money until the cows come home, but it makes people uncomfortable because I think a lot of people can't come to terms with how they actually feel or the situations that they're in.
1 in 4 or 5 people end up with an eating disorder.
And guess what? Fat people can also have an eating disorder, because that's the reason that some of them are fat. It's not always restricting eating disorders. There's a handful of other disorders.
Most people, I think, 90 to 98% of people will gain all the weight back and then some.
I'm running out of time because my husband's about to come home from work. I can't fucking pause at every point.
And that diet cycling can result in worse health outcomes than just staying fat in the first place. Also, if you have an eating disorder and you're fat, trying to get any treatment for that is hell. And when that one safe space is no longer safe, it can activate a lot of pain and trauma.
If you are traumatized because you made an influencer that you have never met in real life a safe place, that is not that person's fault. That is your fault.
Again, if you are fat and you're feeling that pain, it's not appropriate to share with that person. If you're feeling this way, I really hope you talk to people, a therapist or friends, supportive people in your life to process these feelings, because it's valid and it's important.
It's not valid. Just because you have certain feelings around something doesn't make it valid. It could be absolutely unhinged. If you are so upset that Lizzo lost weight, you need to do some thinking about why that is.
Important. And rather than these intense binaries, I would love to see these conversations held with more nuance and compassion.
Okay, where is the nuance and compassion in your situation? It's always demonizing people for losing weight. It's never, oh, congratulations, I hope that your health is doing better. Or congratulations, I'm glad that you got to a size that makes you feel more comfortable and confident. It's just demonizing someone for eating less calories.
You know, I can understand why this topic might be triggering for some people, and I hope you get support for that elsewhere, but this is my body and I can't hold that pain for you is valid. If you're a thin ally, this is a great opportunity to...
If you're a thin ally, you're not a minority. If you are fat, you are like the other 50% of overweight Americans.
Fight the assumption that thin equals health, and remember that there's maybe more going on than you can understand.
All right. I don't gotta keep saying the same shit, do I? Thin doesn't equal health, but fat equals probably unhealthy. It's not the only biometric data that someone should go off of, but it's a good indicator that there's some other shit going on. All right, I'm starting to get real pissy at the end of this. All right, we almost got through that whole video. We only had a minute left, but my husband's about to come home. I don't really want him to hear me yelling at the computer because I'm sure he already thinks I'm fucking insane. He knows who we married. We've been together for coming on 7 years, so I just get a little camera shy when someone else is in the house while I'm doing this crap. Let me know your opinions down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. I think I was in a couple other compilation videos, so if you guys enjoy this one, I'll react to some other ones. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video, and if you enjoy me, consider subscribing, because I think like 80% of the people that watch me are subscribed. If you like any of my jewelry or my t-shirt, I will have that link down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Peace.